Good. Tashi's here. Hello, Tashi.
Morning, David.
Morning, Bill.
There I am.
Whoa, you're getting it down. How are you this morning?
Sleepy.
Ah, okay. uh, well, I'm awake. I have a
Well,
cat
that's good.
on my lap.
Ah, yes.
He likes to wait
Yeah,
for students.
yeah. Cat in the hat, cat in the lap.
This is the only time you'll get to see him because he disappears when anyone comes.
Yeah.
He used to be really more willing to meet people, but his sister is a real scaredy cat, and I think he's learned from her.
Yeah. He's channeling his sister.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you yesterday, David, when I leave, should I lock the door?
No, I check it.
Okay.
But
Well,
thank you. It depends on, usually on Tuesdays, I have another class in the afternoon.
oh, okay.
My seniors come that day. So I leave it open so they can get in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But thank you for asking. That was
Yeah.
a nice.
I keep reminding myself, after the fact to ask.
Did you get the video, by the way?
I don't think so. Let me check.
Because it was rejected once by Gmail,
No, I did not.
and I sent it a second time to you, and I
Uh,
just hadn't checked that. But you still didn't get it, huh?
Still didn't get it. No, let me check something else here. No, I didn't. No.
That's so weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
Now, for years, we had no problem at all.
yeah.
And
Morning, Joanne.
Good morning.
morning, Joanne.
Morning. Ooh, it's a bright morning. You can tell from my glasses. The sun's pouring in.
Well, but isn't it nice to have the sun?
I'm not really complaining. Yes, it is nice to have the sun. Let's see.
Well, we aren't going to have Adam today.
Oh, he's is he sick or working?
He's working.
Okay, well, that's better to hear.
His boss is on vacation and he has to be there and be boss.
Somebody needs to be in charge.
Yeah.
They think. All right.
So
Oops. And what about
I'm,
the other bill?
I'm expecting the other bill.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
What's that?
As far as I know.
Yep, yeah. Well, and sometimes I find the morning catches, I think I can get one more thing done before class, and then I know too,
Right.
Gotta get that laundry out of the, wash or whatever. Such a nice day, it will get hung out today, so.
Aha. Kind of
Yep.
chilly, but
So as long as it's over 32. Although I have to say, I've tested it a few times where my jeans literally stand up.
Yep.
They just freeze. They're dry, they just freeze.
that's too cold.
Yeah, that's too cold. You really need a little more over 34 at least. But yeah,
Yeah.
on a day like this, they'll dry pretty well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anyway, no, not my water. All right. Oh no, I'm gonna get my note. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I will send it to you again, Bill.
Okay. I don't remember Bill saying that he had something going on, but he often does, and I can't unravel the weeks from each other sometimes.
Oh, I know. Here he is.
Morning.
Morning, Mr. Bynum.
Morning.
Good morning. Sorry I'm a few clicks late here, but here I am.
We've been just talking about you and how late you are the whole time.
Yeah, right. I know.
How you were trying to just do one more thing before you start.
That's exactly it. It was terrible.
Yep. We know
These
that because
things
I know that because I do it myself.
Yeah, these 30-second things that take 5 minutes,
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how that goes?
Right. It's like I need to turn on more lights here.
You didn't do that, yeah.
Well, we don't have Adam today because he has to be boss.
No.
His boss is on vacation, so as Joanne said, somebody's got to be in charge.
Hi.
At least in a hospital. You don't want to drop the ball there. You know, there are other jobs you can kind of drop the ball.
Yeah.
That's not really one of them.
Yeah. Madeline and I have been watching this sort of soap opera on Netflix called New Amsterdam. It's about a hospital in New York, public hospital, fictional, but they just have one disaster after another. I think of Adam
Yeah.
watching it. We're kind of annoyed that we're hooked on it.
Yeah.
They write those things so you will be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Morning reports. Anything at all? Questions, problems, success?
My practices have been very short because my back continues to be an issue this week. But
Ah,
I think our going through it last week was a very helpful lesson,
Mm.
and it tuned some things nicely for me.
good.
I've just been doing like 10 cycle things. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm sorry your back's still an issue. Anything for you, Mr. Nagel?
No, it's the same old of having trouble deciding what to focus on, knowing that I need to focus on something. I don't know. Are there better or worse? Those are wrong words, but are there more productive or less productive things at my stage to focus on? Among, let's say, the dozen or so things that we've worked on, I keep sliding among them,
Yeah, yeah.
and
No, I understand. As I said last week, I know I'm giving you a lot pretty fast,
yeah,
or pretty quickly. I think the easiest guidance to that is to work on whatever the earliest things that we introduced that you have not felt you've fully comprehended or fully integrated yet,
yeah.
um,
Okay.
rather than simply accepting that maybe what I'm introducing at this point are things that you'll come back to a little bit later.
Okay.
Um,
It's fair enough. And of course, we have plenty of information in the videos and the handouts. So
yeah,
Mhm.
but that's one of the reasons I wanted to be sure I gave those to you so that you would have that reference and could indeed progress at your own rate. Because clearly, all of the people in this class, the four of you, are all at little different places
Yeah.
in your development. And Joanne and Adam probably are able to progress a little more quickly than Bill and Bill. And that's perfectly understandable. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's simply where you are.
Right.
So not feeling that you need to be where anybody else is, but simply where you are.
Yeah.
I know that's not maybe as specific. I mean, I could be, I suppose, more specific than that, but I think that that's probably a good way for you to approach it so that you work on what you need to work on.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think this came up last week, a little bit when we were talking about this, and I realized that, like I had worked really hard early on about the breathing. And so that's something I don't need to think about at all. When it came up last week, I was like, oh, I need to think about that. And I'm like, I checked and I'm like, no, I'm okay. Okay, move on.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of other things I'm not, you know. And so sometimes when Adam says, what about this? And I'm like, ooh, yeah, gotta get that on the list.
yeah.
But it is, yeah, I think I was trying too hard to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and try to move it all up kind of simultaneously, and it really doesn't work that way.
No,
Not, for
right,
me, it doesn't
right.
work that way anyway. It's
No.
really more like, okay, now I have the breathing, now, yeah, right, and kind of, you know, whatever else we are particularly working on. So I do find that better that way. I did not, yeah, I had some real bad back problems early on for most of the week, and certainly through the weekend. So I had a little, I mean, at some point you practice because you think, well, it'll help. You know, you're doing some stretching and really, because there's lower back, I don't usually have it down there so badly. Yeah, no, I think I found, then I realized, I think because I was away, that I didn't get last week's video, and I know there were no notes last week because of the class, right? But then I realized, oh, I need to tell David I didn't get the video from last week.
You didn't.
No, and I've been getting them the week before I got it. So I looked again this morning just to make sure I hadn't missed it over the weekend, but no. So
I wish I knew what Gmail's problem is.
I don't, yeah, right, because it seems to be a sporadic problem. It's not consistent. I thought we had fixed it.
Yeah,
I didn't look for it, but can't you just go to David's channel and see if it's up?
Oh, I've never even thought about doing that.
Yeah.
yeah, you can do that for the video. You can't do that for the notes.
Right, but
Right.
did you have notes from last week? I thought
No.
we didn't.
No.
Okay, for no. So how do what's your video? Just the YouTube video, YouTube?
You can actually go to whatever link you have to a previous
Okay.
video, and that'll take you into the into my
Okay.
bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
All
You
right,
gotta
I can do
be,
that for last week, but if I don't get them with I'll have to let you know if I don't get them with the notes.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
okay, I'll
You
do
can
that
just
for last week.
you can just put him in as and subscribe, do a subscriber to the
That's
channel,
true.
and then you see them all.
Get them all. Okay.
What
Yeah,
was
just-
last week? The last one I have is bending and stretching the spine. That feels like 2 weeks ago.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, then I didn't get last week either.
Well, we didn't have notes from last week, Bill, because we
Right.
kind of ended up
Your review,
asking a lot of questions and getting a good review.
review and refinement. Well, I will send that again,
Okay.
but you can actually. Bill's quite right. If you just subscribe to my, what do they call it? I don't even know.
Channel or something.
Channel or something.
Channel,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
On YouTube, you can get in and see everything. I made a point of not making it private. I made it public on purpose so that it wasn't, hidden away from you guys, and you
Uh-huh.
you can see the other classes that I put on there too.
Everything, right, okay.
So
Good, okay.
that's probably the best route to go for that. But I will resend. Maybe I'll send the notes separate from the video and see if that works. Because I haven't tried that. And Bill's got one from yesterday that hasn't gotten. So, all right, something for me to do this afternoon,
Technology.
since I had nothing to do, of course.
Oh, yeah, right. Nothing else but resend.
Okay. So
David, are you seeing me? because I've lost the big picture somehow.
Of,
Can you see me?
yes,
We see
Okay,
you.
okay,
you don't
You
see
don't see
us?
us?
all right. I can manage this. Yeah, okay. I
Okay.
have just little box rather than a full screen. So,
Oh, you've
Just
gone
click on the little box, click on the lower right of a little box, and it usually just enlarges.
ah, thank you.
Good thing we have a village here.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
So,
the channel is just called David Shaver, by the way.
oh,
Ah,
there you go. I'm famous.
Yeah, really.
So we're going to look at a couple of details here, really refining a couple of things that we've worked on. So looking at the spine, even if you can't do bend the bow yet, maybe you've just learned it, it's probably going to take a while before you can do it without it being really difficult. But before then, you simply do the best you can. Now, bend the bow is normal in God's playing in the clouds. It gets really cute with bend the bow is normal in God's playing in the clouds, and it gets even weirder when you start actually working with your 40 brain centers. You've heard the word, but don't confuse having heard the word with actually knowing what it is. So you know really the fact that when we talk about bend the bow, that we're referring to how we're bending the spine. And there are a couple of ways that we can think about that. We can, like the Taoist spine stretch, simply be aware of bending the spine from the top all the way down. And there is that sense that you're trying to get your head to reach your hands, but of course that's never going to happen. But in bend the bow, we try to find where the middle of the spine is, and we want the head to actually try to meet the pelvis. So the two are bending towards each other and then straightening. And you all know that. Your bend has to go in both directions. It's not just one at a time. So your spine is only so long. And the trick is that your spine does not exist in terms of functionality in separation from the rest of your body. If you have a spine, unless you are a quadriplegic in a chair, every time you step, the motions of your legs are moving through your spine. And when you're bending down, your spine is affecting your legs. This is an up and down flow. And for that matter, so are your arms. If you actually had some sort of micro instrument, which I don't think exists, there's no way in which you can move any part of your arm and not cause some electrical something to happen in your spine. I don't say how much or how little, That's different, but they are connected. So the big thing is that if we take that middle point, we have two other points, the top of the head and the pelvis, which we are trying to move simultaneously towards each other. And simultaneously back to straight. And remembering that you want that head to go straight and not back. So what we effectively have is both of them coming together. And then what's going to occur, of course, is that your head goes up and it goes straight up, not back, as I said. And as that happens, your tailbone, as best as you can, is going to point and press down towards your feet. But now what we have is a very basic coordination. Your arms and your legs are doing the same thing, bending forward and straightening. So here we're talking about making sure that we keep that coordination, that when the spine bends, the arms bend and the legs bend. And when they stop, they all stop. And when the spine straightens, the legs and the arms straighten. So they absolutely, totally coordinate with each other. So I'm sure we've talked about this before, but about the spine here, there is a fundamental principle in Qigong that says energy circulates throughout your whole body. Now, if it circulates evenly and smoothly without a stop, your qi is going to reach 5 places in your body simultaneously. And those 5 places are easy to recognize. They are your head, your toes, and your fingertips. If, for example, you were doing gods and you find your left hand is really warm and your right hand is cool, your blood circulation is really messed up. If you were to go if you were to go 50 units of feeling in your left hand, but only have 30 in your right, that's telling you that the flow, the nerve flow in your body is really messed up. And it is talking about the left and right sides of your body being out of balance. You want to know if you have a left and right imbalance. You don't have to go any further than your 2 feet or your fingers in your head. If they are not even, you have a left and right imbalance in your body, which doesn't mean that you're going to die. It just means that something's off. And as a matter of fact, there's probably no human being that doesn't have a bit of a left and right imbalance. However, if you've ever had any trauma in your life, you've got it. Up to and including that you got imbalanced when you came out of your mother's womb, which is another real possibility. So what we're trying to do is to get relatively similar degree of current in all 5 of those points. A similar degree of current, a similar degree of feeling, or a similar degree of aliveness. If you have a left-right imbalance, then you have to start looking at what things can be done to help this. And that will take you through a lot of specifics. And those are all things that are included within why one side of your body's not balanced with the other. But keep this in mind. These 5 points are taught in energy gates and heaven and earth. But in God's, you really want to make this concept a major point, because God's is the most balancing of all the Qigong in the way that its physical movements are done. It gets everything up, down, forward, and back. It's got the range of motion, but you're always trying to make these 5 points even. And if they're not even, you need to start asking why. And you start looking inside yourself. If if they are not even, it's almost 100% sure you're going to find reasons for what's happening and what's not. And there is no way really to avoid it. So I'd like you to stand up. And what I have you do for a moment is to actually, let me just show you. I actually want you to put your arms out towards the corners, let's say. So forward, away from the body, but not straight out in front of you. Put them out a little towards the corner. And this is a position that is not actually in God's, although it could be, but I just want you to start from here. And then I want you to focus on bending your spine and your legs and your arms simultaneously. So just going into a C curve, bending, and then straightening, everything together. And just work with that. Just bend and extend and try to make those movements absolutely simultaneous. So any feeling of discontinuity of qi flow in your body is going to be very, very subtle. So when you start bending and coming in, and it feels really smooth, that's great. But as you start straightening, maybe all of a sudden you feel like a fold got stuck. So if you feel any place that feels like you're getting stuck, you want to dissolve and relax and recognize where something is stuck. So when you hit one of those, you actually want to just slow for a moment, dissolve and relax and let that space release. So you can go through that and move on smoothly to the next spot. So stay aware of any place that there is a subtle hitch of any kind. And then just slow down a little so you can get it to go through. Just have to pay a little attention. Don't do it too quickly so that you can feel what's happening. So for a moment, pause and relax. And could you feel any places where you were running into a hitch or a blockage or?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And could you release it?
For the most part, yes.
Good.
I mean, it was, yeah. One strange place was my large toe. I've been having some pain down my right leg, and it was as the flow into the bottom of my feet and up. I could feel the toe even more prominently at that point.
Yeah.
So then
Good.
I had to work on just that toe. I've never had that experience before of it being so specific in that area.
And could you get the flow going to the 5 points?
Yes, I could. Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
A bill?
Yes.
Any bill, any bill.
Any bill.
Been calling Bill. I felt pretty comfortable having the 5 working in tandem. I was concentrating on the middle of the back as the point of bending in and out. That seemed to help.
Good. So you felt you could feel the flow of the energy to the 5 points?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good. And Mr. Bynum?
Well, in
Okay,
terms
Bill.
of blockage, I could identify my, right down in, I guess, probably my L3, L4 area
Yep.
that where things are not good and blocked, and that's what screws up my right hip, and includes feeling going down my right leg. So I think the fact that and I have done like earlier the C curve and now the bow to try to alleviate that, and sometimes it works really well and other times it doesn't really touch it. So but yeah, I can definitely feel that blockage and I can get some stuff to move through it, but in terms of my right leg, it's semi numb almost.
Oh,
So it's not getting all the signals going all the way down, at least not the signals that I want. So
are you getting any help with your back?
yeah, the chiropractor works on it pretty regularly, and it was real good for a while. And I've tried to do too much stuff around, but
Yep. Yes.
hard to separate living from doing stuff. So
Lots of luck got to us.
Yeah, right.
You can't stop living.
right.
So, looking at another aspect the twisting or spiraling. If your body is used to doing spiraling, virtually anything is going to cause spiraling. And all these lines of energy are spiraling. You don't have a straight energy line in your body anywhere. Every energy line that looks like it's a single line or a straight line is actually just a very, very, very tiny spiral. That's how it's done. There are no straight lines in the body. You can't even find a straight blood vessel. Gravity precludes that occurring. So one of the things that you have, excuse me, you have to get in all the movements in God's is that if we look at the spine, there is on both sides of the spine a band of muscle called the spinous erectus. Actually, there are 3 bands of muscle on each side of the spine, running up the back, that directly affect your spine. And these muscles have to be in pretty good running order. Moving energy up and down your spine is not the same thing as making sure these 2 parallel tracks along your spine are actually working. As an example, in movement 1, besides the spine itself, 2 things have to be done with these muscles, both going up and going down. One thing that needs to happen is that these muscles have to be spread so that they cause no pressure on the spine. If either one pulls unevenly, it can actually pull vertebra out of place. So the first thing you're concerned with is the sheer fact that you relax and open these muscles in these areas where there is a lot of fascia. Very often, when you really start opening these areas, it burns, because that's what happens when you stretch fascia. It's what it feels like. So, what movements do you What movements do you think are going to be very clearly targeted towards doing this? Not only 2, but how about 3? And also then when you do movement number 7, besides the main thing being the spinal cord, the biggest thing is you have to be concerned about is that the muscles on both sides are being evenly stretched and not locking up. If these muscles can't move smoothly going up and down, what do you think is going to happen? The ability to expand will get messed up. So in movement 1, it's fairly easy. When your hands are coming up, you have to get these muscles to go up. When your hands are going down, you have to get them going down. You simply have to create space. When you come to a spot that is stuck in the middle of who knows how many spots, you just have to keep on working and relaxing it until it loosens. And you go to the next one and the next one until the whole thing is working. It can be quite tight in and around the spine because those muscles wrap in towards the spine. It has more of a sense of coming in and around, not going forward, and more in than out to the sides. In the beginning, you do it as you can because eventually this going in is going to be one of the ways to get into the spinal cord. So it's going to be really important. So what I'd like you to do is just do movements 1, 2, and 3 at the moment. And what I want you to focus on is feeling those muscles, the spinal rectus muscles along the spine. In 1, feel them in particular going up and down, but in 2 and 3, they have to not only go up and down, but they also have to go out and in. So you have to release, you have to let those muscles be able to spread. And this will actually help the spine to be able to move more freely and the energy to move more freely through the spine. Question? Then stand up and
We'll see.
stand up and move.
You want like 10 of each?
10 of each if that's appropriate for you. If that's too many, do less. You can do whatever's appropriate for you. Just as we were working before, remember that you want to make sure that the spine bends all the time your arms are bending and straightens all the time that your arms are straightening. And that's also true with the legs. And while you're focusing on the muscles in the back at the moment, to open that up, you also want to feel the 5 points. So, what did you feel in that?
I had trouble identifying the muscle bands to begin with in one. It's trying, but it didn't, nothing seemed to occur to me. But in two, I felt like there was a nice gentle massage going on. Um, especially up the middle, in that part of the movement. And in three, that sort of continued, although in the movement toward and away from 12, I lost it. I felt it more in the bottom half of the.
That is more difficult. Absolutely. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was interesting. My feelings were similar. And one, while I found it easier to coordinate and do the movement, I found less it felt good, but I was identifying that big blockage that I have for sure, but it didn't change it much while I was doing that. Then in two, that started to have more of an impact of changing it, and was still, in terms of coordinating the movement, I felt like I had that. In three, while it was difficult coordinating the movement, similarly at 12, especially, I think the rotation and extension to 3 and 6, and being, feeling like I was really doing the curve at or 3 and 9, I mean, and that feeling like I was really doing the curve at 6, and then trying to get into it better at 12, having to curve the bow at 12, started working. And I think the times when I did it, it was more dynamic, I guess I would say. I was feeling go into the 5 points more. It was interesting from 1, 2, and 3 had increased effectiveness, I guess I'd say, at feeling energy or connection out to 5 points. And one of my symptoms of my blockage is my right leg feeling kind of numb, and that actually, it felt less so as I was getting into 3.
Good. Uh-huh.
Interesting. Yeah, I had a similar experience to the Bills in terms of the feeling different at 2. That 2 was much easier to really feel that area around the spine. And I think the one thing, this is a little different, but a question is that in 3, that in terms of the arms and the legs moving at the same time, I really realized that's not as much the case in 3, particularly at noon, right? That in the other postures, our arms are really, as in the exercise that we were doing, they're really moving in and out towards our body as our legs are going up and down. And that's just not the case in 3 in the same way. And I think somehow it was like, well, I must have known that, but I'd never quite, kind of focused on it as much. As I was very aware of my legs and I was very aware of my legs and my arms, but they didn't feel as in sync in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 is
It's a little weird.
3 is different, isn't it? That's a good point that you raised there. And I understand what you're saying, in that it's much easier to feel the bend
Mm-hmm.
as we go into 6 and over to 9 and then extend. But then to find the bend here is not as easy, but it's there. It's more subtle. And you indeed have to have that bend through 12. And getting actually tuning into those back muscles can really help you, I think, develop that movement and coordination
Mhm.
through there.
Mm-hmm.
That is a difficult spot. I did want to remind you that 2 is different from 5.
Yep.
So it's important to remember as you go into 2 that the connection of the Laogong and the wrist comes in front of the Dantian, and that's the changeover point where you begin to twist and extend out. And then you're bending all the way back in. And so, unlike 5, where that the changeover from extend to bend probably is a little lower, somewhere in this range, and the bend continues up and then goes out and down. So don't confuse those 2 movements. They're different, intentionally so.
Yeah.
Other questions in there?
Not a question, just a bit of comment on 3. Every now and then I focus on the 4 points,
Right.
keeping those square, which makes all the difference in the world. If you don't have that going on, you can't do 3. But
Right. And also you will you'll hurt your back.
right.
Yep. So that's it. Yeah. So I'm sorry. And I interrupted you, Bill.
Oh, no, that's basically it. 'Cause when that's good, 3 is getting to be really a lot of fun, I think. So
Yeah. It gets better. I think it goes through a very annoying stage.
Yes, yes.
And then it begins to improve as you become more comfortable with it, and more confident about what you're doing there.
Yeah.
yeah. The biggest thing was several lessons ago, we talked about 12 not being stretching up to the skies so much as, you're cupping and, and now with this bow,
Right.
re-emphasizing it in a slightly different way for the curve than the C curve. And it's I feel like it's starting to come together.
Good. So any other thoughts or questions or comments at the moment?
Nope.
No, I look forward to rereading that last section in the notes.
Okay.
I gotta get that in, yeah.
So I will be aware that I'm going to send notes and video link separately, and
Okay.
see if I can get those through to you. And also last week's video, Okay, I'm gonna be doing a whole bunch of resending here.
Okay, and then I think it was helpful for Bill. I mean, if the notes are separate, I don't see why I would have a problem getting them. And if they come in without a video, then I can always go on your channel and look. So,
Yeah.
right, so I think that seems to solve. I mean, we still don't know why Gmail won't exist. Makes no sense, but yes. Well.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great week. Stay well.
Next week.
You also, all of you.
And we'll see you next week.
Very good. Goodbye.
I hope your back's better, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's all behind me.
Oh, good.
Oh, God.
Yes, Joanne.
Still behind me. Anyway, I don't have much for this class, right? For this class, this new class we started 30 seconds ago. Yeah, right before class this morning, I felt like I pulled my left groin muscle a little bit. That's been a bit sore this year. I don't know why it comes on and off.
Oh,
I think part of it is that my right hip had really hurt over the weekend. It's just if you favor one thing, then something else kind of goes, hey,
right.
you're overworking me.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I was in New York City for 3 days. And the thing about New York is you walk, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then we were actually, one of the reasons we were there was there's a parade called St. Patrick's. It's St. Patrick's for All. And it was started 25 years ago, maybe. Because the LGBTQ community was not allowed to walk in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Manhattan. And so this was an alternative
Yeah.
that really also just welcomes in a real diversity of people who kind of don't make it through that process of being accepted into the other parade. So it's a really wonderful kind of all these peace and justice groups and neighborhood groups and everything. But we walked in the parade. That was after 2 days of like intense walking. I did 18,000 steps one day. I don't think I'd done that ever.
My God. I'm surprised you were able to do anything today.
I was on a little ibuprofen, let me tell you. Yeah, by Sunday I was like, ooh, this is gonna be tough. But anyway, so yeah, my body's a little
Yeah.
But I made it through. I told myself I could do only 6 if I couldn't get to 10, but I got to 10
Yeah.
in all 3 of them. So that was good, but I think I shouldn't get up and try to do a flow now, especially because the right is a little no, it's the left now that's a little off.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any questions for today or observations or whatever, but I am interested in going back and reading. I think that kind of thinking about the spine in that way, I'd never thought about it that way before. So
yeah, it's kind of an interesting difference. We don't usually focus on that.
No, but I mean, I like that. Yeah, I always like that new added, insight into our bodies. So
yeah, you can of course go on the internet and look at pictures.
I do that often when yeah. I've also have a very old, little booklet on the body, one of those here's all the systems. So I actually I'm still that old fashioned. Oh, a piece of paper that has it. Sometimes you see, particularly with the fascia, it was really helpful to look online.
Yeah, I as I think I was a massage therapist at one point, so I went through all of that, and I had all those books and still have some of them. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I had actually, until I was reviewing those notes, I had forgotten that we actually have 3 sets of muscles that go down along the spine. There's a lot of vertical
Mm.
um, muscles along there, and the ones right next to the spine really affect a lot about how the spine works.
Uh-huh.
And so
That makes sense, right?
trying to really tune into those and be aware of them can be at least helpful.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's just more things to go wrong in your body too, you know?
yeah.
Oh my, really?
Oh, oh boy, are there things that can go wrong.
Oh boy.
I'm
Excuse me.
grateful when I don't have any of those.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Or well, something isn't wrong, but oh, look, think of all the things that are right.
Yep, that's a good thing to do.
Yes, it is a very good thing to do.
Well, Joanne, I hope your hip feels better, and
Yes, thank you. I think it's today or tomorrow to the chiropractor, so that will. He's
well,
he helps. So makes a difference.
chiropractors are very helpful.
Yes, yes. I've known the same person for a long time, and I do find him helpful. So
Yep.
yeah, very good.
Okay,
All right, so yeah, next week, if all goes well, right?
absolutely. You take care and
You
don't
too,
walk
David.
too much.
No, well, it actually felt good on some level. You know, it just reminds me how much, you know, living in the city, you just have to walk a lot more anyway. I mean, part of it
Yeah.
was, it wasn't like I was taking walks. It was like I was going from the subway to the Catholic Worker over to, you know, see a friend back, you know, kind of, you know, you just getting to the subway again, you know, getting from the
Yep.
subway to the house I stayed in, you know, necessity. Don't
Yep.
have that in Norwich, you know?
Nope. Or in East Haddam.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, you can't even walk to get milk. You know?
No, I can't. No, I
At
can't.
least I can do that. All right.
All
Yeah,
right. Take care.
thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.